The Overwatch 2 director talks about making a great match and the reason why the matchmaker is still bad. And yeah, they're still working on it, but it's just not great, is it, guys? All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the channel. So this is a developer update from Aaron Keller. Now, remember, he does these pretty much every 2 weeks. He comes out with a blog update and he goes into detail on a topic which is affecting the community. And today, he's going to talk about making a great match, which is all about the matchmaker. But he does actually give us a lot of really cool data in this post. It is quite a detailed post. This is kind of a departure from what we've usually been seeing from Blizzard, although there have been some quite detailed posts up on the actual Overwatch website in the past, especially about matchmaking and rank distribution and things like that. So I really enjoy reading this. I think it's good. It gives us good insight as to what's going on with the Overwatch development, which is really cool. So let's just get stuck into this and let's do it. And now I'm not going to bore you guys and stick text on the screen for this, but I will show you the graphs when he's talking about the graphs, and we'll also take a quick look at them and break them down. But there are some pretty strange things in this, and there are some really cool things in this, so let's just do it. Director's take, making a great match. 2 weeks ago, we talked about balance and matchmaking in our blog update. Matchmaking has continued to be a big topic in the community, and it's something we've been focused on internally. If it's important to you, then it's important for us to talk about. So I'd like to update you all on what we're seeing and doing. One note before we begin. I think we're at risk of sounding like a broken record with our communication on matchmaking. We're working on it and it's getting better, isn't the best message, especially when players are still experiencing bad matches. So I wanted to share some data to help you better understand the state of matchmaking and the impact of some of our recent changes. Let's get into it. Now, yeah, this is a good point here, the communication issue or problem that Blizzard has and has had for a while. They are recently saying things like, yeah, we're making matchmaking better. They did a live stream recently in which they straight up said, oh yeah, we think the community is overall positive about matchmaking. The community is not. But what they're trying to do in that stream is say, hey, we're working on it. Things are getting better. We'll give you a bit of technical explanation and blah, blah, blah. And it's all great. But this is something they've been saying for a while. And when you go and play the game and you realize that the game isn't particularly great when it comes to matchmaking, you then look at maybe content creator videos, you look at streamers, you look at posts from the developers or whatever and go, hold up, they're trying to say this is getting better, but it isn't. That's a problem. So at least they're identifying that. And at least Aaron is straight up saying, look, I think we're in danger of just, you know, doing people's heads in basically by going over and over and over this again. So yeah, Overwatch has always had an issue with comms. And honestly, if I was involved with communication for Overwatch, just say, guys, you just need to be a bit more real, basically. Less of the PR crap, less of the garbage. Just be real with your players. And I think Jared, who's the new executive producer, went on a stream. I forget whose stream this was. I apologize, but went on stream and was quite down to earth and approachable. And in a lot of ways, that's exactly how Jeff used to do this. You know, Jeff Kaplan was the same. He was down to earth. He was approachable. He wasn't like a corporate guy. It wasn't like a, you know, that type of air about him. He was like one of the gamers and he wanted a good game, and that's what he wanted to give us. And that's the thing. I want a good game. You guys want a good game. We don't give a shit about overly technical explanations of this or that, or some sort of pre-approved PR response or some sort of curated live stream. We don't care about that. We want real responses. That resonates a lot better. Anyway, I digress. So he goes on to say, over the past week, we've made changes to the system that have brought down the skill gap between players in a match significantly for high and low MMR matches. If you look at the ranked skill difference chart below, and I'll put this on the screen now so you guys can see it, you can see two spikes that negatively impacted match quality in Season 3 and the recent changes that have started bringing this back down. We're almost back to where we were when Season 3 started. Now, looking at the high MMR group, GM players and above, roughly half of our matches have an MMR range of about 4 to 5 divisions, while 25% are at a difference of about 5 to 6 divisions, and the worst 1% of matches are at roughly 10 divisions. Grouping behavior drives a large part of this gap. Remember, in Masters, players can group with other players who are up to 5 divisions apart. Now, looking at the high MMR group, the GM players and above, as he says, when you've got a skill division differential of 5 or 6 divisions, or even 4 to 5 divisions, that's a hell of a lot. GM1, right? Well, okay, GM1 would be the top one. So GM 4, let's say, going down to like Masters 3 or something is a huge gap. That is a monumental gap. A GM player is a lot better than a Master player, right? There's an argument to be made that a Masters 1 and a GM 5 might be fairly close. But when you start getting into like GM 3, like those players are much better. Obviously a GM 1, what the hell? Now also the other issue with this is there's hardly any GM players. They are such a small amount of the player base. You could say it's not even worth dealing with them. But the problem is, most of them are the streamers. Or, well, not most of them are the streamers, but the vocal streamers are the GM players. So they do amplify issues. And they're like, well, you know, GM this, the games are so bad. You'll see loads of tweets from them all. And it's totally valid. Like, they should be tweeting about this. They should be talking about it because it's impacting them. And, of course, this impacts Overwatch because people watching that content, you know, then they start to believe it and think, oh, my games are terrible. And that might not actually be the case. But the thing is, guys, it is the case. And as these graphs kind of show. So, yeah, that's the high-ranked one that I threw up on the screen. And it basically shows the percentiles, right? So your yellow would be the 50th percentile. Green is the 75th. Blue is the 95th. And the purple or the lilac is the 99th percentile. So we've also got these other graphs as well. Now they show medium ranked and then they show the impact on low ranked. And yeah, you know, it's nice having this information. It's nice looking at graphs and pretending that we're intelligent going, yes, I understand the graph. I mean, it kind of doesn't matter if you understand it or you don't understand it or what. The fact that they're giving us this data is cool. You know, it's them saying, look, we actually do have data to back up what we're talking about. So we're going to show you guys that. And that's a positive thing. So, you know, I think that's a cool thing. So yeah, keep doing that, guys. It's good stuff. Okay, Aaron then goes on to say, okay, so that's where we were as of March the 6th. Let's talk a bit about how our matchmaker was working at this point and the changes we're making to improve it. And he says he'll try not to get into the weeds. When our matchmaker tries to make a match, it looks for players as close to each other's MMR as possible. As it continues to search, it will expand to players with larger differences in skill. Prior to Season 3, we had the ability to control the rate of expansion independently for each queue. In Season 3, we changed how our matchmaker expands over time, but removed some of our control over per queue behavior. This meant that if we wanted to reduce the size of skill differences in competitive, we had to do the same thing in unranked and arcade. If we wanted to get shorter queue times for unranked by expanding skill difference requirements, we could do that, but then competitive would have wider skill differences too. Now, you probably heard me laugh a little bit as I was reading that off. How in the hell did that even happen? If that was a legitimate design decision, what the hell? Why would you ever want those connected? They would always need to be separate. So this is crazy to me. Maybe it was just a bug. Maybe it was an unintended thing. I don't know. But the way that's written out, it doesn't sound like that, does it? You know, he straight up says here, prior to Season 3, we had the ability to control the rate of expansion independently for each queue. So basically, before Season 3, each queue was independent, right? So if you wanted to speed up ranked by increasing the distribution of ranks in a given game, then you could, but it wouldn't affect the other modes. But then for some reason in Season 3, no, they were just all together. So if you wanted to change comp, it would change every mode. This is why I think queue times were getting really long in other modes, and things like when players were grouped together, it was taking absolutely ages for games to pop. That is insane to me. That actually is that was even a thing. Absolutely crazy. Anyway, yeah, like you said, in Season 3, we changed our matchmaker expands over time, but removed some of our control over per queue behavior. That is just insane to me. In the patch we released on Tuesday, we implemented the first of a series of systemic changes. More are coming in Season 4 that give us the flexibility to tune these modes separately and gives us new ways to tune the system. Competitive can once again have its own set of parameters for how wide the skill gap can be that are separate from our other modes. This week we'll be tuning these values to tighten the skill gap in competitive as much as possible while keeping an eye on queue times for that mode. Additionally, in the mid-season patch, we added the capability to sort parties together that have a similar player delta. We're now able to get similar parties together in a way that minimizes role delta, which has resulted in significantly lower party queue times. It also concentrates wider parties together, which has made a dent in our MMR data. Or delta, sorry. Hopefully, that provides some much needed context for all of you and helps us see the amount of work going into the system. Or helps us to see, I guess, or you to see. However, your experiences are what really matter. We'll be collecting a lot more of data this week and listening to you as well. I'll be providing some short updates soon, most likely through Twitter. That's it. Hopefully, we'll be moving on to other topics for future updates. See you all in game. So in conclusion here, what have we got? Well, I've been pretty harsh on the state of matchmaking in this game. And I've come at it from a very cynical point of view. You know, they want queue times to be really low because that's what keeps people engaged in the game. Nobody wants to sit in a queue. Now, this comes at the cost of match quality. The problem with Overwatch is it's a game that depends on the quality of your team. Yeah, I know you can carry a little bit more in 5v5, but it still depends on the quality of your team. If your team is not great and then you lose, you feel terrible. You feel like, well, this is garbage. I've tried my best, but I know I've lost because my team's terrible. Especially if you've got any kind of visual feedback or confirmation that players on your team are way below your rank, even if they might not be, right? Even if they've got the same MMR as you, but like, I don't know, it's a plat player and you're a master player, you are going to think, well, I've got a plat player on my team. What is going on here? This is all a design problem, and it's just shocking. The state of matchmaking in Overwatch 2 has been absolutely garbage. It was easier to understand in Overwatch 1. And now I know, okay, queue times were absolutely crazy towards the end of that game's lifespan. That's because they weren't updating the game. You know, there was no balance updates for like a year. There was just nothing, right? So players just went and played other stuff. But now it's a bit different with Overwatch 2. They've got more players, but I still firmly believe they just wanted faster queues. Now, the issue we've got is quality of game, I think, directly correlates to the amount of effort you as a player are willing to put into the game. So if you play, like if I sit down now and play comp, and my first game is let's say it's a balanced game, it's a nice game, it's a close win for my team, I feel great, right? Then the next game, maybe it's a close game, we win again, I feel awesome. Then the next game, okay, maybe we lose. Maybe it was a close loss, but somebody on our team might be perceived as being a much lower rank because that's what, you know, they don't have a private profile. We can have a look and go, why have we got a gold tank and they've got a master tank or something outrageous? I'm not even sure that can happen, but you know, imagine something like that happens. You're going to feel not great, and that's a problem Overwatch has got, and I'm not sure you can even ever fix that problem because there's a lot of things that go into the matchmaker that are all these variables the matchmaker can't work out. What happens if you're just having a bad day? You know, I've seen the memes of, oh look, there's a diamond tank and he's absolutely destroying a top 500 tank in a game. Oh my god, this is so bad. The top 500 tank should be awesome. But maybe the top 500 tank's just having a bad game. You know what I mean? It's like these things happen. Your rank in Overwatch it's not a short-term thing, right? It's a long-term thing. The game isn't designed for you to just rapidly change your rank in one gameplay session. You'll only go up a couple of ranks, divisions even, if you were grinding out games. But it's more so getting better over the long term, like learning the better skills, becoming better at the game, increasing your Overwatch brain, and over time, you should go through the ranks. So, you know, sometimes players do hit a ceiling, and that's it, and that's fine, and that's their rank. That's when they need to look inwards and think, okay, how do I get better at the game? What do I need to do? But then there's always these other issues, right, of poor matchmaking keeping you in certain ranks, right, because you've got bad teammates. But the list just goes on and on and on. This has to be one of the most complicated elements of Overwatch's game design, because it is such a complex thing. You know, you think of the matchmaker, it's this program which is taking loads of players that, you know, these players have never really played together ever before, probably, especially if you're like in plat, gold, and silver ranks where most of the player base is. It needs to match you with players of similar skill against players of similar skill. You see what I'm saying? It's really hard to do that. And when you throw in, I don't know, maybe you've got Stylosa on your team and he's wireless. It's not like this has ever happened. No, this has never happened. But he's got his wireless mouse and it's ran out of charge in the middle of a fight. It's like, then you lose that fight. Do you flame him because the other tank was plat and he was like some diamond dribbler? And you're like, you've just been owned by a division below. Oh my God, it's so bad. It's such a mess. Anyway, I think, like Aaron says, hopefully he can talk about other things in the future when it comes to these blog updates. But the matchmaker is such a big issue with the game because it arguably is, it affects the way the game is perceived a hell of a lot. Because, yeah, okay, you can have skins, you can have events, you can have all of this, and players do come back to check that out. New heroes being the most popular thing by far. Maps being like, people generally don't care about new maps, but obviously you play on maps all the time, so they're integral to the game. But the matchmaker is what keeps you playing the game, isn't it? If you feel like you're getting bad games, you'll just stop playing. Or if you feel like the game's taking too long to play, you'll just stop playing. So in an ideal world, they need fast queues and good games. Over to you, Blizzard. All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening and watching the video. And remember, if you want to leave a comment below, then do it. Like the video as well. That helps a lot. And subscribe to the channel as well. Also, that helps. And just do let me know what has been going on in your games. Mine have kind of still been sort of all over the place, but Overwatch 2, what are you doing? All right, catch you guys on the next one.